Are you addicted to fear? I know I was. In the last couple of videos, we've been talking about the fact that about 5 years ago, the Lord assigned me to a fear fast. In other words, He said, Vicki, you are going to fast fear for 7 days. It's off limits. Now, I was able to latch on to that idea because I was pretty familiar with fasting food, and yet there was something that didn't quite make sense to me, and maybe you've already thought of this question. When you fast food, you give up something you really enjoy, correct? Maybe sugar. Some people fast sugar for a while. Some people fast solid food for a while, and they just get by with liquids and whatnot. Sometimes people will even fast an entertainment like social media or something like that. But the point is that it needs to be a sacrifice. That's the whole point of fasting, correct? So when the Lord was first talking to me about this, I thought to myself, okay, wait a minute. I know in the past, every time I have fasted, it was in regard to something I really liked, like maybe chocolate or cheese or food itself. And so why am I fasting fear? This doesn't quite make sense because fear is never fun. Nobody wants to feel fear, right? And I felt the Lord pretty much say, really? I'm going to be really honest here. Fear for me had actually become very much like an addiction. So the feeling or the idea of living apart from fear felt very unfamiliar to me. It was weird. Now what happens is when I start talking to women about the fear fast and talking to them about the fact that they can live fearless lives and they can separate themselves from chronic fear, a lot of times what I see in their eyes is terror. And several of them have even said, almost verbatim, almost the same sentence. They say, wow, I'm afraid of not being afraid. And on one level that sounds so silly, but if you are a chronic worrier, I know that you know what I'm talking about. I know that you can imagine that. Wow, living without fear, living a fearless life feels so weird. That's such a weird idea, and my first emotion is fear. I just keep seeing that with women, and I get it because I felt it too. Let me ask you just a few questions. Has it gotten to the point, or maybe it's always been this way with you like it was me, that you've really latched onto some false beliefs about fear? Perhaps it feels like to you that fear actually serves a purpose. Maybe it feels to you like fretting and worrying about such a situation actually helps you start to gain control of that situation. I hope you realize that those are lies, that those are rather delusional ways of thinking, and we'll talk more about these delusions later. I had been living in such a way, so closely entwined with fear, that it got more of my time, more of my energy, more of my attention than Jesus did, or than my family did. I hate to admit it, but it's so true. And listen, I was a believer. It's not that I didn't love God. I did. I was devoted to Him. But I was so enmeshed with fear that it got a lot more of my attention than the Lord was getting, and there is just something really wrong with that picture. There were many ways in which fear was a companion to me, a daily companion. There were many ways in which I was locked into a very toxic relationship with fear. And that's why God, in His kindness, came to me and offered me a way out of fear that was based on a fast, because I could understand that clicked with me. So you might think, well, why didn't Jesus just say, well, Vicki, fear not, I've got this, stop being afraid all the time? Well, He had done that over and over and over, and He's done that for you too. In the Word of God, the phrase fear not is in there 71 times. He has been telling us, fear not. He's been telling us, I got this. So before long, that 7 days was over, and the 7 days became 14, and then it became 21, and then 40. And long story short, that was 5 years ago. And I'm still fasting fear every single day. Now, it's second nature now. The hope for you is that it can be that way for you too. Now, please understand that fasting fear is not about willpower. I don't have a lot of willpower. A lot of people don't have a lot of willpower, but I do have a desire to obey God. And fasting fear, or anything, fasting food for that matter, it's about taking this thing, be it food or fear, and putting it over here in this off-limits category. In other words, you forfeit your rights. 5 years ago, I forfeited my right, this sense of entitlement. I gave that back to God when it came to fear. It was like, okay, God, I give up my right to be this way, to think this way, to obsess this way. I give up my right. The option is gone. The option to fear and fret and stress out is now gone. I give it up. So what's our takeaway this time? I believe it is simply that even though fear isn't fun, it doesn't feel good, it can become so familiar that it is your most constant companion. If that's you, I really encourage you to stick with me. I am going to keep doing these videos, I promise. I'm learning how to make videos. I'm not good at this, but you know what? I'm learning. So do me a favor and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss one. And then in the meantime, here's the address to a fearlessness group, a Facebook group, and it's private. You will just have to request to be part of it. No big deal. I'll approve you within a couple of minutes. Also, think about if you would like to be part of the next 8-week workshop based on the book, 7 Days of Fearlessness. And I'm teaching this out of my home. It has been fabulous. We're right in the middle of the second session now. I'm starting the third go-round sometime in May. I'll nail down the date soon, but if you think you want to be a part of that throughout the months of May and June, then send me an email to doulos, DOULOS, 214@hotmail.com and let me know, and I'll save you a spot. In the meantime, we're going to step into fearlessness one small but bold, exhilarating step at a time, just bit by bit, truth by truth by truth, building one truth, building on the next. So, all right, stick with me. I'll see you next time.